Okay, you're unmuted. It's all live.
All right, let's call the meeting to order at 1:31 PM.
Rudy Castellano,
Present.
Mike Martinez,
Present.
Meredith Britt, Mike Sweeney,
Here.
Mike Cousins,
Here.
Maria Gilberry. Here. Travis Hearn, he will be here in a little bit, he said he's running late. Okay.
Okay, let's move to approval of the agenda. We have a motion.
Chairman, I need to add an item to the agenda.
Okay,
Under business items, I need to add a committee recommendation for the National Bridge and Plaza, it's one project, National Bridge Plaza Road Project.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented with the change to the business items that was just mentioned by Mrs. Gilberry.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty, we have, you seconded? We have a motion by Rudy and a second by Mike Sweeney. We'll move to, let's see, approval of the minutes. We have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented. Although I wasn't present at the last meeting, I read the minutes beforehand and they seemed very much in order.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Rudy and a second by Mike Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have public input today?
Did not receive anything.
The record show that Travis is here at the meeting now.
You said no public input?
No, I did not receive anything.
No public input? Okay, let's move to business items then. We're kind of gonna go a little bit faster today. Mike Martinez has to go early.
The 4 items that we have today are all related to road projects, I believe. Yes. So the first business item, Mr. Chairman, is recommendation for approval of Resolution 21-27, accepting a grant offer and applying for a match waiver for the co-op for pavement maintenance and rehabilitation on 4th, 5th, 6th Streets and National and Douglas, if the money goes that far. We did receive a little over $80,000 from, I believe it's from DOT, from the co-op, and we are wishing to apply for a match waiver. So we would be requesting approval from the council on that resolution. And that would mean that the funding would all come from co-op. And this would allow them to do the crack sealant on these roadways.
Did you say BOT?
DOT.
DOT, okay.
So this would be a crack sealant project. We already have been working with a vendor who can provide these services.
Mrs. Gilberry? I think, Mr. Chairman and members, I think this is a very good deal, for that amount of money, for 25,000 matching funds, more or less, to be able to do that to those 3 roads that are much need of repair. If you travel through any of those roads, especially Fifth Street, even if you have brand-new tires, it sounds like you have a flat. It's just, the lines running across the road are kind of ridiculous, and I think it's much needed. So I'd be very much in favor of approving something like
And the
this.
city is well aware of, and we're working diligently to try and get a lot of our road projects taken care of. We do have a document that's prioritizes a lot of the roads that we need repaired. And so this is definitely a need.
Yes.
And with limited funding in the Public Works Streets budget, anytime we can get a match waiver is greatly needed.
Especially at that percentage rate.
Hello, Meredith.
Hi. I don't want to sit with that.
So Meredith is here.
You'll like it here.
I'll be the police chief.
So Rudy, can I take that as a motion to approve the recommendation for approval of the resolution number 21-27?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Meredith, we are on YouTube, and so everybody needs to be recorded or on camera.
Okay.
Thank you.
What about you?
I'm recorded, and I'm near camera.
Okay.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion from Brody and a second by Mike Martinez. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, number 2.
Mr. Chairman, this is a request to approve Resolution 2128, requesting the committee's recommendations on approving, for the council to approve Resolution 2128. This is for our application submission for CDBG funding for the Hot Springs road work between Mills and Tamora, from Mills to Mora. Again, these are critical projects. We are all aware of the deteriorating roadways. The benefit here is we're already going to be working on the utilities project, so being able to pave the street following the utilities project would be beneficial for the community. So we'd like to seek CDBG funding for that, so we'll need to request a resolution authorizing the application.
For the point of clarification, Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Gilberry, where is Morris Street? By where?
How close to Santa Fe is that?
It's
Close.
about two blocks from the intersection of Hot Springs and...
From,
Mills, south of Mills.
so we're not talking about that length of a project? It's
2
just
blocks.
2 blocks?
That's maybe 2 blocks.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's just a portion. We do have other funding requests for the rest of Hot Springs.
Yeah.
Within limited funding, CDBG has a limited amount of funding available.
So all we're asking is for that 2 block
Yes.
area? Okay.
I see it as a win-win, and I'll move that we approve number 2.
Excuse me.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike Sweeney and a second by Mike Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving right along, number 3.
Mr. Chairman, this is a request for the committee's recommendation on approval of Resolution 2129 for the council to appoint City Manager Leo Maestas as the authorized representative to execute all grant offers pertaining to the City of Las Vegas Municipal Airport. The previous city manager was a previous signatory, and with the new city manager, we need to have him sign the documents. And this will be for FAA funds. And we did receive some FAA funds for the airport, and so we'll need his signature on file.
I'll make a motion to approve 2129.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a point of clarification. Sure. In terms of the airport, the FAA, is that what it's called?
FAA.
We need to keep it up to par in order to, as a municipality, in order to be able to receive any kind of funding, right? Is that
To
correct?
keep the airport open, you have to meet FAA regulations, but FAA assists us with the funding we need to maintain the facility.
What about, like, when you say maintaining it, what is the level of maintenance that has to be Does it have to accommodate big planes, government planes? What do we,
Whatever it's certified for, we need to maintain the airstrip, we need to maintain the lighting, have to maintain the fuel supply, everything that keeps it operating as an airport, we're required to maintain, and the FAA helps us with any funding.
well, the reason I was asking is because we have a lot of fires in the area. Sometimes that we have to have different kinds of sizes of planes land. We have the World College, we have hydrants and places like that. Do we have to have a level of maintenance that is of that nature that would require more than usual if it wasn't?
There's a specified amount of maintenance required from the FAA for an airstrip of that size that can handle whatever the designated aircraft. I couldn't tell you right now. At one point,
Yeah.
I did know it could handle military aircraft
Yeah.
and large cargo planes. I believe it still can. But whatever that airport is certified for, we have to maintain it at that level.
So because the maintenance comes under Public Works, that's why we're
Yes,
approving something for the airport?
yes. This could be kind of a cross between the airport committee and the utilities committee, but I've been adding in anything related to the utilities department for at least your, you being aware.
Okay, with that discussion, you had a motion, Mike?
Yes, I did.
And Mike Sweeney, second. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? All right. I don't know, you said National Bridge and Plazas.
Yes, so the city of Las Vegas had received some funding from DOT for a Plaza Bridge Street National Area road project. We did receive the funding, the plans have been completed. We submitted the plans on June 9th for RFP. We received 2 proposals, one from Desert Fox and one from Hayes. The proposals were received on July 1st, and due to a requirement from DOT that we break ground before July 19th or potentially lose the funding, we have been making sure we did everything as promptly as possible. So once we received the proposals, the procurement officer opened them, recorded them, made sure they were all valid, and then we had an evaluation committee on the exact same day evaluate them. The evaluation committee was made up of 2 employees from our engineering firm, 2 employees from the City of Las Vegas Streets Division, and 1 person from project management. The company that ranked the highest was Hayes, and the reason why we chose to do RFP is when you do by an RFP, a request for bid, you are required to select the lowest price.
where on the agenda are we?
It's number 4, it was in one we added in.
Okay,
Because not always is the lowest price the best, and because our roads are critical, we made a decision to go with an RFP this time, which means it's a proposal, and so we evaluate the contractor's proposals based on qualifications and ability and experience. And that's why we chose to have Stantec Engineering actually evaluate the proposals. Hayes did come in as the highest ranked. The engineer stated in their, based on the evaluations, that it was due to their understanding of the scope of work, the site, and the existing conditions. Subsequent to receiving the proposals and the evaluation, Desert Fox pulled their proposal. So either way, Hayes was ranked the highest, which is who we would have recommended, but I wanted you to be aware that the second company did pull their proposal. We did submit to over 20 companies across the state of New Mexico. We asked our engineer to provide this project out to every contractor they could think of. Our staff provided it to every contractor they could think of, let them know about this project. And so there were over 20 companies that were made aware of this project, and we only received two proposals.
why do you suppose that is?
I would be speculating if I was to answer that.
Speculate for us.
I don't know what's in their mind, but they chose not to propose.
So Hayes has paving experience?
So Hayes will subcontract the paving portion of that. And they will actually, and the company they subcontract to is Desert Fox, which was the other proposal. So when we compared both of the proposals, Hayes was a subcontractor to Desert Fox, and Desert Fox was a subcontractor to Hayes. Hayes is, and this was not part of our decision, again, dollar amount is not what we use to make a decision. We have to do it based on the ability for the company to do the job, and it's only what they provide in their proposals. And that's guidance from the state procurement. You can't do it based on something you think you know about the company. You have to do it based on what they provide in their proposal. In Hayes' proposal, some of the benefits were they have 4 subcontractors, all from Las Vegas. Desert Fox had 1 subcontractor from Las Vegas. So 1.3 million of the project under Hayes will be kept in the city. $500 million would have been kept in the city with Desert Fox.
Where are they from?
Albuquerque, I believe. They are a well-known asphalt company. They've done road work. They did a Mountain View. So they've worked in the city before. So based on the RFP, the engineer recommended going with Hayes. Based on, subsequent to that, again, looking at it, we still recommend going with Hayes. Again, we'll keep about 1.3 million of the project here in the city.
So we have no say over their subcontractors, that's
No, that's their
totally
proposal,
private business.
yes. So whoever makes a proposal says who they're going to use and how much one vendor may charge may be different than another vendor, even in the same
And what are
industry.
What are the parts of the project that need to be subcontracted besides the paving?
Electrical, concrete, let me see, they subcontracted out to testing.
Action testing.
Testing, electrical, striping of the roads, concrete, and the asphalt for Hayes are all subcontracted out.
Is there a thought on the completion date?
Not until we award it to them, and then we'll sit down with them immediately. We intend on sitting down with them soon after the city council makes their decision to get the schedule so we know what we're working with. Other than we must break ground by July 19th. After that, we'll get with the contractor and see the best way to organize the project and complete it with minimal impact to the businesses, but there will be impact.
And the groundbreaking will be on that little street next to...
I don't know where the breaking ground will be. We'll have to work with the contractor on what they're going to do.
Could be anywhere, huh?
We'll have to look at their schedule and meet with them and find out exactly what the project would entail and where's the best place to start.
The point is to break ground.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, are you ready for
Does
motion?
anybody have any questions? I do have everything broken down. I did look at all the revenues, or not the revenues, the cost. We are looking, and our request to the council will actually specifically be to award, have discussions with the contractor, and enter into contract with them. The discussions, we need to make sure that the price is a little bit higher than what our funding was for. And so we want to see if there's any areas where we can make any changes for the advantageousness of the city, so that we can make sure that we can afford this project. And so we will be working with the contractor.
So we're looking at $1,700,000 and some dollars and change?
Pardon?
About $1 million, more than $1,700,000?
Yes, their price came in at almost 1.9 million, but we will need to find areas where we can reduce the cost.
Yes.
We do not have the 1.9 million. We have about 1.2.5.
Can it be done with that?
Oh, we believe so.
Okay.
And what plan is there to keep the businesses informed?
As soon as we have that schedule, we'll be setting up regular meetings with the businesses to keep them informed on the status of the project and the schedule and what areas of the plaza will be impacted. And that'll be for the whole community, because we want the whole community to know what portions of the roads are going to be closed down and for how long.
Is there any other funding you can get somewhere else, or?
So we do have $18,000 in funding from the legislature on the electrical, so we're going to see if we can use that from there. Looking at their cost proposal, we think there's a couple areas where they may have made some mistakes in their numbers. And then in addition, water and wastewater have some work being done there. If we need to, we can fund those out of other line items.
Okay, sounds good.
What about that little street, that Escuelas, were you able to incorporate that into the
I
project?
just received a communication from the property owner there, and then we'll be moving forward with a signed agreement with the property owner. And if we can get that property under ownership of the city in time, then we will widen Camino de las Vegas.
Okay, do we have a number for that project, or that,
So the contractor's proposal is about 1.9 million.
no, I mean, like a resolution number,
For,
On the agenda items.
no, we're just requesting to award this.
okay.
I think it's, how is it worded, Shawnee, where's the,
It's not included
okay.
on the
I believe
agenda
it's written,
request.
because it's a special meeting held tomorrow, so it's request to award,
It's
communicate with,
It's RFP 2021-26.
26, so it's a request to award that RFP.
Is the city council meeting tomorrow?
Yes, 3 o'clock.
Okay, can I get a motion to?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the request to award RF 2021-26, the request to Hayes Plumbing for the National Avenue, Bridge Street, and Plaza Park Road Project, and authorize the city manager and staff to negotiate and enter into a contract with Hayes Plumbing and
So
Company.
that's the recommendation to the council.
Recommendation to the council.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Rudy and a second by Mike Martinez. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, discussion items.
So these were some discussion items, Mr. Chairman, that were brought to our attention. We wanted to put them on the agenda, and I think this one, the effluent water and rates, the general idea is the effluent water rates do not cover the cost of running our effluent system. And so we want to look at, utilities department wants to look at the cost of having to run the effluent system and making sure that we are charging a proper amount to be able to maintain the effluent system. So this will probably be a future discussion. I wanted to talk to the committee and see what they thought, if this is something that we should be looking into. And
Do we have any kind of an idea on what the difference is between what we do make and what we should be making, or?
I have looked at what it costs to run, and we are nowhere near making enough revenues for the pump maintenance, and I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but that'll be part of this potential evaluation that utilities will do, is to look closer at those numbers. What does it cost to run it? We're looking at increasing some of the costs due to, we want to expand, the city wants to expand Rodriguez Park. It's currently sized for Rodriguez Park as it is, so if we enlarge Rodriguez Park, we'll have to look at probably more pumps, more tanks, increased storage for the effluent. In addition, when we supply effluent water to different parts of town, not everybody can get effluent water at the same time because of how our system is laid out. If one area of town may be getting, the pumps may be on, providing effluent water to, let's say, the golf course. If there's no water in the tanks, that might impact some of the other parks. There have been occasions when some part of the city will get effluent, but another part won't because of how the system operates. So we want to look at, are we providing everybody the effluent they need? This is definitely beneficial to the community, especially in drought situations like what we're going through right now. At the same point, are we being able to bring in enough revenue to maintain the system? And are we looking at it as a service we're providing to the community, and what's that right dollar amount? And that would obviously be a decision for the council, with us looking at it and doing an evaluation, I think that could answer some of those questions.
So is the cost that you're talking about, is it electrical bill?
It's electrical, plus it's maintaining of the pumps. Almost every year, the pumps have to be maintained.
Because of the effluent?
Not necessarily because of the effluent. Some of the people who are operating pumps don't always know how to operate a pump. And so if something gets turned on at the wrong time, you can burn out a pump. We've lost a couple pumps to improper usage.
Meaning running them dry or?
Running them dry or,
Don't you have to treat that water to some extent too?
yeah, all the effluent gets treated to a certain level, and that's in our permit.
Could those pumps be wired in some form or fashion that they won't go on unless you have that proper water in there?
We could probably look at that. I would think there would be some way of having it tied to a certain level, so kind of like with a SCADA system,
Yes.
where if it's not above a certain, if the tank's not above a certain level, then the pumps won't operate.
There you go.
The system, when we installed it, we wanted to kind of do it as inexpensively as possible, so a lot of it was put onto human interaction. And so, at that point, guys like Travis were running the system, and they understood how to operate it. And then sometimes somebody who doesn't know how to operate it gets access to that facility and flips a switch they shouldn't flip. And so we try, the thing about this is it's only operated a few times a year. It's not operated year-round, and so if it's not the same people operating it, people who know what they're doing, sometimes something incorrect can be done, causing damage to it.
So basically, it's a human error versus training.
Human error, in addition, the system is not designed for everything that we want to do with it right now. We're expanding to a lot of parks. We're going to be going to Hanna Park here soon. Plus, like I said, Rodriguez Park. If Rodriguez Park expands, we're going to have to look at what additional pumps and basically what operations are going to be needed. So that's just more of these are just more discussion topics.
What type of expansion are you talking about at Rodriguez? Where are they gonna go with that?
There is a proposal there's a lot of land over at Rodriguez Park that belongs to the city. So it's more efficient use of that property. That would be a question for the Parks Director. He's got a nice set of plans for what they would like to do out there. But we would need to grow with them, so that there's always effluent available for their projects. So that's one thing that we
But it
may
seems
wanna-
like we're talking about mostly the city using the effluent water than the individual consumer.
Correct, but at some point, we would like to get to the point where individual consumers can use it, businesses. We do have, it's mostly government right now. The
Yes.
schools and municipal government and county government use the effluent.
But what I'm saying
Your
is,
average-
if you increase the cost of buying it, then the city would assume a big part of that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, the city does pay for what they use, so yes, if they use more effluent, they would also be paying.
So it's not just affecting the consumer, it's affecting the city.
It would be anybody.
But
who
everybody in
uses-
general.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about raising the rates just to raise the rates. We want to look at first to see, I'm not even requesting it right now. We want to look to see, what does it cost to run this system, and what revenues are we taking in? I believe we were only getting, if I'm not mistaken, it's like $5,000 a couple of years ago. That's not a lot of revenue coming in a year to run an effluent system. $5,000
But when you're saying getting from whom?
from the residents in town and from the businesses, from Highlands, from the city of Las Vegas, from the county, and from the residents who use it.
But when you incorporate the use that the city has for it, then it would probably even out a little bit better, wouldn't it?
No, that's still very, very low. It's what, $1 for 1,000 gallons?
Okay.
$1.25 for 1,000 gallons?
What a deal, I'm gonna buy some.
And it's highly nutritious
Give it to myself.
for your ground,
No.
for your for your yards.
Thank you for that.
$1.25 for 1,000 gallons is not a lot.
Well, that's bizarre.
It's pretty much a donation.
We do want to encourage use, so that
Yes.
there's that balance of encouraging use and trying to make sure that we can sustain the system.
Well, people have services where they go to other people's homes and water for them with that water, I think.
And per city regulations, you cannot sell effluent, but you can sell your services, like hauling.
Right. But I'll bet they're making a profit. That's why they're in business.
Well, if we can have more people use effluent and less people use treated water, that's a good thing. So that was a comment that was made by a resident of the community to talk about effluent water and rates. And I want to let you know, we are going to look into it a little bit more.
Okay, move to B, monthly report.
So everybody should have gotten a single, or a double-sided, single page for the monthly reports.
Any questions on that, or?
Are there ever part-time jobs?
Yes, I do have part-time jobs. There are some, well, actually, let me rephrase that, sorry, I have temporary jobs, so it's seasonal labor positions, and we can always work with the employee on that. If they can only work 30 hours, 35 hours, on those type of jobs, we can work with the employee.
I'm just thinking that might be a way to fill more positions if you're not getting the response the city needs. Maybe there'd be more people available who are looking for part-time jobs, and you could have, for instance, 2 people do one job, part-time each.
I didn't look into that because I know there's some other expenses with employees.
Yeah.
And so the more employees you have, then you have to have all those additional expenses.
More paperwork.
So a lot of these positions, like superintendents and managers and operators, we don't want them part-time. We need
No.
full-time employees.
True.
When it comes to the laborers, that's something we could work with.
But like clerk, office stuff. I don't see any of that here, but in general.
We're always willing to work with somebody, so if somebody's interested in a job, they come and talk to the city, we can sometimes even help them find out which job works best for them in their particular situation.
Question, Maria, where is the CDL class being held for the,
Luna. Luna
Are they-
holds the CDL class.
they're doing that as a, cool.
I know you brought up a while ago, but on that street paving, what's being done there on Santa Fe Street?
I'm not aware of anything.
That one way, it's all tore up on the edge all the way through.
Oh, well, it's on our list. If you're saying that the road has needs, absolutely.
Just, it should be.
Right now, we are working on the roads we're working on in planning, design, and construction are King Street, Plaza, South Pacific, University, El Crestone, Hot Springs, McRae, Dolores, Silva area, and Legion is also another one of the roads that we want to be working on, so, and then the 5th Street, 6th Street, 4th Street that we mentioned earlier.
That Santa Fe Street's a one-way street, but it's right close to the plaza, and it goes up to that little school area on top that, it needs some attention. It's really, really bad shape.
We have a lot of those. And we're working on them.
Well, I know you are. We appreciate what you do,
We've
too.
sought a lot of funding. Those, unfortunately, it's really hard to do within our budget. It's costly for road work. But DOT has been helping us out. And Danny and the guys have been doing a really good job of trying to seek as much funding as they can, so we can get a lot of these roads moving forward.
There's no emergency flood money or somewhere there for those 2 streets? That's what caused that problem.
Any flood money has to go through, it's a FEMA, and so you have to have it declared a flood at the time, and we have to have it assessed at the time. So if it was flooding, let's say 2013, when we had that flood, we went back and looked at a lot of issues that happened only during that flood. If it's happened at a different time, we can't necessarily seek.
Okay. It just seems to me like that
Funding for it.
street's being used for more of a flood relief inadvertently. It's not, you know.
So it needs, we need to look at drainage there as well.
The water goes down like a river down there, that's what tears it all up.
We could look at, that's some of the issues we're dealing with around town is drainage issues.
Okay, if you would, please.
So one of the things I'm excited about is solid waste recently received a Perkins truck bed packer body. Still don't know what to call it exactly, but if you see a pickup truck driving, a City of Las Vegas pickup truck with a very large, looks like a compactor in the back, that is a new piece of equipment we purchased so that we can get into alleys when it's slick. It's a four-wheel drive truck. We also want to use it for our special needs route. So it gets into areas that our packer trucks cannot get into. It can deal with poor weather a lot better than our packer trucks. And so we're hoping to use that to improve our services. And if it turns out as good as we think it will, then we'll order another one.
I saw that this morning. I thought it was a camper.
It's a compactor.
It looked like a nice vehicle.
We used to have one of those back in the day.
Seems like the concept is good. We want to see
Yes.
how it works. And we're going to have a couple employees dedicated to it so we can run that 4 or 5 days a week as needed.
Well, it makes sense, you just test.
Did want to remind everybody, and if you can remind your neighbors, that we are in a drought right now, and so we are enforcing the conservation and drought ordinances. The first violation is verbal. After that, it's $350 and a $450 penalty. And we do have several community members who have been filling up swimming pools, even though we are in a stage 5 water restrictions. Unfortunately, we don't find out till after they filled up the swimming pool that they filled them up. So we're losing a lot of water to things like swimming pools. And that's enough water for a family for a month, what goes into most of those swimming pools. And I believe the estimate was about 20 swimming pools around town, so that's equivalent to
You're kidding.
20 families,
Gee whiz.
a month of water for about 20 families.
Let's go get 'em.
Is the rain coming down in the catchment area that we're
Yes.
needing to get?
This
Because-
recent rains, I think finally the grounds has been saturated enough that we are starting to collect some of the water. We are still in a rotation schedule, so we were working with the Acequias on being on the river or off the river, or how much we can take. They've actually been very helpful. We were doing these recent heavy rains and wanting to make sure the city was taking as much as we could. So the numbers that are in this month's report were effective as of the last day of June, and they've been going up since.
Great. Do you see that we might get off the water conservation issue?
Oh, we are still 50 acre feet, no, we're still a couple months away from possibly coming off the conservation, and that's only if this rain continues the way it is for a couple of months. If we get back into a drought, we'll stay in stage 5. There are parameters for stage 5, and we're going by those parameters in the drought contingency plan, which is below 600 acre feet of storage is stage 5, and we're currently at 550 acre feet of storage.
Well, if you just keep it raining, I don't need any extra water in that.
So we're at 42%, and it was 44 last month?
Correct.
Scary.
All right, any more questions on monthly report?
Number 5, about the rollouts.
Yes.
Somebody dumped a tire in my block. Can I put that in my rollout?
No.
You want it? It's on your property, actually. It's on your side of the street. I'll just toss it over the fence.
We put it in your rollout, and now it's on our side of the fence?
I have not put it-
I'll have Lucas come take a look at it and see what we can do. Or actually, Public Works Public Works is the entity that picks up any trash in alleys or in right-of-ways, so
I
I'll
think
talk with Danny.
I think I know who did it. I've got some lovely
You need to pick
neighbors
up.
right now.
She knows I did it.
Just a reminder, please, again, if you could talk to your community members in your wards, no tree branches in the rollouts, no tires in the rollouts, no ashes in the rollouts, no grease in the rollouts. There are ways to dispose of it. Call us at 454-1401 and then ask for solid waste. There are ways of disposing of all of that, and in your rollout is not it. Tree branches can clip our sensors, and then a truck can be down for a couple of days while they're trying to fix whatever damage was caused to the sensor.
You can put
Do
back,
they lift it up when they have tree branches all out?
No, if they see that there's tree branches in there, they will not pick up.
Because I see them all the time out there.
Right, and and I'm working with staff on that. Sometimes they really try, and they end up losing a sensor because they're trying to still pick up a rollout. If they see tree branches, they will not pick up the rollout. They may have somebody come by and assess it, because if it turns out to be like small pieces of branches, they might be able to work with it, but especially the long ones that stick out that are 5, 6, 7 feet long, can't take those. So, and then that's the main stuff. Everything else I was going to do a project status on.
Okay.
Well, I feel you're doing a whale of a job. All of you. You're doing just real good. I'm real proud of you.
Move to project status then. Is there projects?
Bradner is full. Now we're in the process of having it checked for seepage, any kind of seepage, but we do have Bradner full. So we'll follow with those procedures with the state engineer's office. Once it passes their requirements, then we'll be fully certified. Since we are in a drought, they have stated we can use the water if we need to, but the evaluation stops once we go below full. So we need to maintain Bradner at full this entire time while the state engineer is doing their evaluation for seepage. Sabino is done on the gas side and water's almost done,
We're 85%.
85%. That was the replacement water line, gas line project. Fire suppression is done, we're just waiting for the fire marshal, the state fire marshal to inspect it. And North Gonzales, we had intended on starting that, but with the rains, it's gonna have to wait a little while till we can get that project started. And then, like I said, National, Bridge Street, Plaza, that'll be a big project here starting in the next couple of weeks. Was there any other projects anybody had a particular question on?
How about the lift stations? They don't have any pumps yet, or?
2 of them are, I believe, at about 80%. There is one lift station that they're still waiting for the generator and the pumps on.
All right, let's move to announcements. Anything?
Let me, Chairman, if I might, detention center is at 95%, they're waiting for a generator. DBIB is at 70%, they're waiting for their generator. DOT has not started because that's the one that's still waiting for the pumps.
Okay, thank you. Any announcements? That was an announcement.
Plaza, Bridge Street.
Member comments.
hi, everybody.
Everybody deserves access to that poopy water.
Everybody?
Highly nutritious water, lots of nitrogen.
Effluent. The effluent water.
Mike Martinez is on his way out.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mike.
all you do.
Thank
You
you.
got it together.
Bye, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, next regular meeting is scheduled for August the 3rd at 1:30 p.m.
The 3rd?
Yes, the first Tuesday of every month is To the
Are we going to
advisory
the
committee.
first Tuesday rather than the second Tuesday?
That's what I was thinking, the second
The
Tuesday.
second
I
Tuesday,
don't know,
We just
Yeah, we-
did the first-
yeah.
I don't mind the first Tuesday, but I just wanted to know.
just making sure.
So we are,
First Tuesday.
every committee has to be held in the chambers and has to be on YouTube, and so any one of the committees or boards that is a requirement for Open Meetings Act, they have priority. And so there are 2 boards or committees that are already scheduled for the second Tuesday.
Okay.
We would be in conflict with, I think, the lodger's tax.
But how many of those boards make recommendations to the director of that department that goes directly to the city council meetings the next 2 Wednesdays? Ours is more timely. Does that mess you up?
Well, for instance, it's the lodger's tax that is at 1:30, and so that would be priority over utility advisory
So it
committee,
is the third.
because they are an Open Meetings Act, and they,
August.
Open Meetings Act requirements for that committee.
Yeah, I
For
think
that
so.
board, and they address finances.
True.
And there's decisions that the
Yeah.
lodger's tax and the city council have to make based on that. So, no, they come before us.
But don't you have issues come up between today and the city council meetings that we can't help you, we can't advise you?
That could happen, yes. That's,
Have to
we're
live
just-
with it.
You're on your own, Maria, you'll have to deal with ours. We won't be
thanks,
there.
Meredith.
Carry on.
All right, let's call this meeting adjourned at, time is it, 2:17 PM?
Thank you, everybody. We are
Thank you.
still live until IT gets here, so
So don't
thank
say
you very much.
anything.
Your doctor says.
Thank you,
gotta wear a
Meredith. Thank you,
mask
Mike.
again.
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you all.
All right.
If you guys have any questions on the CCR, let me know.
Thank you, Travis. You guys. Thank you, Sean.